Well, good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. Thank you for being here. We are learning new information tonight about a shooting on the Lower South Hill last night. It ended up with one man in the hospital and another in jail.
KREM 2's Cody Proctor was in court today as the accused shooter faced a judge for the first time, and she joins us live now with more on what led up to that shooting. Cody?
Well, Mark and Whitney, that shooting happened on the 600 block of Cedar around 6 o'clock last night. Now, according to court documents, 65-year-old Gary Cottrell shot Scott Jerko. Now, this happened just outside of Jerko's apartment, and that took place just down the sidewalk from here at the scene. But the reason behind the confrontation may have actually been happening for a while. According to probable cause court documents, neighbors had been dealing with damaged cars and slashed tires for a while. Many of them suspected Cottrell of the damage, and court documents state he was spotted on video cameras slashing the tires of a vehicle in a driveway. Court documents go on to say that Cottrell had been confronted by victims of the damage and armed himself with a gun. Documents say when he was confronted again by those who suffered vehicle damage, that's when he shot the victim, Scott Jerko. Now, Jerko's father, Michael, was right there when his son was shot.
Someone almost died over it. Some tires, you know, it's crazy. I held my son in my hand last night and told him that he's going to make it and that God's got his back, and you know, he's going to make it. He's going to make it, and it's, you know, he's going to make it.
Now, we did hear from Michael Jerko that his son was still in critical condition earlier this afternoon when we spoke to him for that interview. Cottrell's bond has been set at $50,000. His next court appearance actually takes place February 1st. And we also have received video from neighbors of that shooting, cell phone video that we are going to be showing you tonight at 11 on KREM 2 News. Reporting in the South Hill, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
All right, Cody, thank you very much. Let's transition for a bit to talk weather. Another gray, gloomy, and wet day across the inland Northwest. We're still waiting for that sunshine.
Yes, we are. Any day now. We want to head over to Chief Meteorologist Tom Sherry about what we can expect here as we get closer to the weekend. Hey, tomorrow's Friday, right, Tom?
Tomorrow is Friday. Well, we got rain this morning. That was accurately forecasted. It fell in the form of rain rather than snow. We thought that was what was going to occur. And right now we're at 34 degrees. It's dry, though. We've got some fog and low clouds out towards the airport, but you see that live look downtown. Still looking pretty good there, but again, we've had to deal with the cloudy skies, and that will continue tonight. And we're going to look for overnight lows to drop down below freezing, so keep in mind some of the roadways that are still wet, they will get icy later tonight once we do drop down below freezing. Doppler radar looks mostly quiet across the inland Northwest. A few snow showers up along the Canadian and Idaho border and also over into the Cascades. So the forecast calls for highs in the upper 30s through the weekend, overnight lows in the 20s. We'll check the rest of your forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you very much. Well, here's a live look at SeaTac Airport tonight. If you've recently been through there, you might have noticed new posters aimed at giving victims of human trafficking a voice.
That is the goal of a new first-of-its-kind campaign designed to put an end to that form of modern-day slavery. It's all part of Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and Angela Kakati now reports from SeaTac Airport.
This is the first time that so many different agencies and elected officials are coming together to fund a statewide campaign. It's also the first time signs like this one are really encouraging victims themselves to speak up and feel empowered. It's something Rebecca Covington says might have helped her when she was being trafficked at 17.
Trafficking can happen to anyone. You know, it has no bias.
Across cities and counties in Washington, inside airports, on Sound Transit, and to the sea, the words "not alone" seen by millions.
Being able to see and have access to the posters at these different places where people move and are transported to is really important.
Seattle area native Rebecca Covington knows firsthand how important after a tough senior year of acting out in high school and getting kicked out of her home.
I was sex trafficked, so sexually exploited.
She said it happened slowly. First, the grooming.
They manipulate you into glorifying almost what's happening.
Then, dependency.
If you ever do get out of this, no one's going to want you because you've done this. You're never going to be able to have a relationship because you have a criminal record. Now you're never going to be able to get a job.
And finally, the threatening.
And I just remember sitting down and just praying one morning. I was in Las Vegas and I just said, like, God, do something to get me out of this situation.
2 years across state lines from Washington to Texas to Nevada. In fact, surveys of trafficking victims show that 38% traveled by plane at some point during their exploitation. 63% used mass transit, hidden in plain sight.
People that are being exploited want out, but they don't know what the path is.
Washington Democratic Representative Tina Orwall is just one official backing this campaign, turning to survivors like Rebecca for help.
If I saw something like a poster that I had access to, I would have felt more comfortable and safe to talk to someone.
Now, part of this campaign is also training for airport officials, employees, and the public to recognize some of the signs of human trafficking. Some of those include someone looking down, looking confused, or perhaps being with somebody that seems to have control. For now, reporting at SeaTac Airport, Angelique Hockaday.
KREM 2 News.
Well, the number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits rose to the highest level in 3 months as the Omicron variant continues to disrupt the job market.
According to the Labor Department, jobless claims rose for the third straight week by 55,000 now to 286,000. That is the highest since mid-October. The jump in claims marked the biggest one-week increase since mid-July.
The state's controversial long-term care tax will be delayed. Washington lawmakers voted on that yesterday. The payroll deduction won't take place until July of next year now. Lawmakers want more time to reform the bill and allow more people to be able to opt out. North Idaho College will be moving to remote learning for a 2-week period starting Monday due to the increase in COVID cases. That's according to our news partners, the Coeur d'Alene Press. At a board meeting last night, the interim president said the plan is to minimize the overall foot traffic to reduce the spread of the illness on campus. School leaders say the significant increase in cases is putting a tremendous strain on the entire college community. So in order to keep students, faculty, and staff safe, they plan to reduce the number of face-to-face interactions through February 4th.
And Spokane Public Schools also canceling school this coming Monday. It's due to ongoing staffing shortages, so there will be no morning or afternoon childcare either. Athletics and extracurricular activities scheduled for that day will have to be adjusted. And Woodland Middle School is temporarily moving to remote learning. That's because of a high rate of staff absences from COVID and other illnesses. The switch begins this Friday. It will continue through the following Monday. The school will then reevaluate on Monday to decide whether they will continue remote learning. Well, we are learning more tonight about how the coronavirus is also being spread on airplanes. In a new study, researchers generated droplets of the virus by having an infected person cough, talk, and breathe in the plane's cabin.
So they found the virus traveled with the cabin's air distribution and was inhaled by other passengers. The study also found that wearing masks and reducing conversations could help to reduce the risk of exposure on those flights.
In the meantime, the state attorney general is warning people of price gouging on at-home COVID tests. So Attorney General Bob Ferguson says they have received numerous reports of people paying up to $70 a test. The AG's office says anyone who raises prices on emergency goods during an emergency to maximize their profit is in violation of the Washington Consumer Protection Act. And while the state doesn't have a technical price gouging law, the Attorney General did try to get that legislation to pass one recently.
And I was shocked to find out that we were among just a handful of states that did not have any kind of protections for people in the event of an emergency, something that they could not control.
So if you see any business price gouging test, the state's AG office wants you to report it. So take a photo or screenshot of the prices and what business it is, and then file a complaint on the AG's website. That web address is right there at the bottom of your screen.
Not only did we identify the first case, but a lot of the nation was watching what this state was doing in response to COVID-19.
Well, it's hard to believe, but it's been 2 years since the first COVID-19 patient was diagnosed right here in Washington. On January 20th of 2020, a man who just traveled from Wuhan, China was transferred to Providence Medical Center in Everett with flu-like symptoms. The next day, it was confirmed he had coronavirus. Since then, health officials have identified more than 1 million cases in our state. According to the State Department of Health, the virus has also taken the lives of more than 10,000 Washington residents.
And fast forward 2 years, and we're still dealing with a surge in COVID cases. However, good news could be ahead as Spokane Regional Health District officials say that COVID cases could peak by the end of this month, so just a few weeks from now. The health officer here in Spokane County, Dr. Frank Velasquez, says the county is seeing fewer COVID-related hospitalizations from the Omicron variant, as opposed to Delta. A model from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation shows that Washington will likely see a peak of cases in January, right around January 28th. Dr. Velasquez also says everyone, though, still needs to be mindful and vigilant with what we do over the next few weeks if we want to see that downward trend.
As for all of Washington state, new data shows that COVID-19 case numbers are leveling out throughout the state after hitting a record high. Director of Data and Surveillance for the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department, Naomi Wilson, says that they are seeing preliminary signs that shows cases are leveling off.
But the health department is warning against celebrating too soon. Although the numbers from the health department do show cases starting to level off in some parts of the state like Pierce County, they are seeing the number of actual cases the highest they've ever seen.
All right, still ahead tonight, blood banks are facing a national blood shortage as the Omicron variant spreads. Blood drives are being canceled. So coming up, we verify the claim if those vaccinated against COVID can still donate blood. We're back after a quick break.